Most people just focus on one aspect of money: spending, saving, giving, or investing. But what it truly takes to win with money is making sure that you have all of those aspects balanced at the appropriate time of your life. Hi, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations, and today I'm going to break down 4 key pieces of knowledge that you need to know in order to win in money and wealth over the long term. So step number 1 is spending money intentionally. Actually spend money on things that you value intentionally. But how do you do that? You can't do that if you don't have a plan, because a lot of times we get to the end of the month and there's 2 month left at the end of the money, meaning we don't have enough money to finish the month. But if you start the month with a detailed spending plan where every dollar goes before the month even happens, your likelihood of overspending that month drastically decreases, and your likelihood of having money left over to spend on things that you want to spend it on, such as investing, saving, or extra giving, increases exponentially. So many times people sit down and write a budget out, or in modern day terms, a spending plan, and they write a spending plan out. They say, I want to spend this money here, and this is how much I've got. And then we get to take all the stuff out, all the expenses that you know. And then at the bottom, there's a number. Either it's a negative number or a positive number. And depending on that number, you have to go back through your budget and rebalance it until that number on the bottom is a 0. Because the goal is 0. Not so that there's just an extra, but it's actually 0, because you want to be making sure that you have a spending plan that represents your values and where you want your money to go each month. Now, at first, it might be a little difficult because there's probably some expenses that you didn't realize or that you're overspending that you've got to deal with. But once you cut those out, you can learn to spend on purpose, taking the money that you have and actually spending it in alignment with your values, the things that you value. Nobody really values being in debt. Nobody values paying interest to banks. Nobody values paying their money for payments to other people. They value things that they can consume, enjoy, and help the world with. So if you align your expenses with what you truly value, then you won't feel guilty about spending money. You'll actually feel good about it because the money's going in the right places. You'll be a lot happier, and you'll probably be a lot richer, because now we're spending money on things that align with the things that we value most deeply. When you don't happen to your money, it kind of accidentally gets allocated on things that you do value. You're just not being intentional about it. And you're saying that with your money and your actions, but you're not actually paying attention. But then when you go look at what you actually spend money on and you say, oh, that means I value that really a lot because I spend too much money on it. Then maybe you just cut some of the money out of that area of expenses and then put that in an area that you do value. Like, hey, I actually do want to be somebody who is known as a giver. I want to be able to give to people. So I'm going to put money there instead of uselessly spending it on something that I'm not paying attention to. And it really doesn't take that much. To make a difference, it doesn't really take a ton of money. It just takes you being intentional over time and making sure you're aligning your expenses with your values, making sure you have money when you need it for what you need it. All right, saving for emergencies, retirement, and wealth building. Saving money is not just about putting money aside for something. There's a section for that, and it's very important, but it's also about securing the future. Nobody wants to grow old and retire on Alpo. Nobody wants to live on Social Insecurity. Nobody wants to have to get to a point in their life when they have to force themselves to live on a very restricted, tight budget because they didn't save throughout their lifetime or invest or even be intentional whatsoever about this area of their finances. So we save for emergencies. We have an emergency fund, a pillow in our budget, and that's part of the spending plan. Basically, that is the first goal you should have. Is after you've made your spending plan, go through your budget and try to save up a pillow really, really quickly. And once you've saved up that pillow, then you get to look at if you need to pay off debt, or you can look at putting money in retirement, funding kids' college, or doing extra wealth building. If you want financial independence, your money has to work for you. And it can't work for you if it's all going out the window or being spent on interest payments. So you have to take the money that you get paid each month, make a plan for it, and line the dollars with what you value, and then start putting money in that stuff over time in order to have any money in it. I know it sounds simple. This is grandma's and God's way of managing money, but believe me, it is that simple. The only problem is that money cannot move unless somebody moves the money themselves. There has to be a person or some human interacting with the money that is received in their paycheck in order for that money to actually go somewhere. And controlling the behavior of that person is the number one problem. That's the thing. My father-in-law has this saying. He's a mechanic and he works in a mechanic shop. And he says, the most common problem, the part that is most often broken in vehicles when I'm working on them, is the part that goes in between the steering wheel and the seat. Think about it. Right. It's you. And the same goes with your money. The biggest problem with your money is you. And me, by the way. The biggest problem with my money is me. But because I have some money, I can thank me for that as well, right? Because we worked hard over time and we saved and invested, and praise God, we have some money, right? So if you want to have some money, then you have to be intentional, right? Creating your spending plan and saving for emergencies, saving for retirement, and putting away money for investing and further and supplementary wealth building, and making sure every dollar that you have is working for you. If it's not going to something that you need it to go to in your life, as far as an expense during the month, or paying off debt, or paying off something that you need to get out of your life so that you can move on with your life and create wealth with that money, then if it's not going to any of those expenses, then it should be going to a bucket that creates further wealth after you have invested enough money to provide for your retirement and secure your future. So many people don't save because of fear, because of inflation, because of the devaluing of the dollar, or something their Uncle Billy said. No offense to any Uncle Billies out there, but I mean, there's a lot of Uncle Billies that give really terrible advice. Or some TikToker, some crazy guy on the internet telling you about money. Like this video. No, not like this video. But real financial security comes from you having a strategy and doing a strategy over time and making sure it aligns with our values. I don't know how many times I've said it in this video already, but align with your values, strategy over time, the money coming to you and not going away from you. But so many people are fearful, doubtful, and they look around in the marketplace and they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much noise going on in the media telling us that the dollar is being devalued, the money is going to be worth less tomorrow. I mean, it's obviously worth less tomorrow, but it's always been that way. So let's get on with it. Let's start saving some money and building some wealth. How about? That's a much better plan than doing nothing, putting your head in the sand and not saving anything or investing or growing further wealth. But it's the diligence to execute a strategy over time in alignment with your values that really makes the difference. And you can do it. Regardless of what the world says today, you can actually grow wealthy in North America today. You can do it. You can grow wealthy by simply investing a little bit over time. The earlier you start, the better you are. The later you start, the more you have to invest in order to actually get to any level of good wealth. But you have to start today. Today is the day of salvation. That's what the Bible says. Today is the day of salvation. Today. Start today. If you don't start today, you might not start tomorrow. And if you didn't start yesterday, odds are tomorrow you're not going to start. So start today. Start saving money today. But start with your spending plan. Then make sure you're spending in line with your values. Then make sure you have some savings goals, that you actually set a money pillow up. And then do this over time. Not 3 months. Not 7 months. Think more like 20 years. That's what it takes. A little bit over a long period of time equals a big pile of cash. All right, buckets. The third thing that I learned in managing money and being able to get stuff is, well, I like stuff. I like stuff. And so I had to acknowledge that myself. And I think you need to acknowledge it yourself as well. Hi, my name is Jason and I like stuff. So if you like stuff, it means you need to set money aside to buy stuff that you like, instead of paying interest on stuff for that you have that's going down in value. If you're going to buy stuff, and stuff typically goes down in value. Okay, some stuff doesn't. I know the argument. Just go with the program here. Some stuff goes down in value. Most stuff goes down in value. And if you're going to buy stuff, like for example, I wanted an ATV, and the ATV costed about $15,000. And when I started wanting the ATV, I didn't have $15,000, but I started putting money aside. And over the next months, we were able to gather up the money to buy a $15,000 ATV in cash. And now I went to the store and I bought the ATV in cash, brought it home, and I can drive it all around and not pay anybody any interest on $15,000. That's kind of like not paying interest on $15,000. What? That's a really good return on your investment, because you have a thing And now I can sell it. It will probably sell for less when I want to sell it, but I don't want to sell it because I really like it. So it's a thing that I can have, that I can use, and I don't pay the interest on it as I'm using it. Well, so many people say, well, you're using other people's money to get rich. Nope, that's for very financially not smart people. And so many people want to use other people's money to get rich because they don't want to wait the required amount of time to wait. And even that waiting time kind of purifies whether or not you should actually purchase that thing. And they just want it now. But the thing is, you can't get everything you want right now because you probably don't have the money. Just like I didn't have the money, but now I have the thing and I have money because I waited and I invested. And when it comes to buckets, it means that you have to allocate correctly the amount of money into each bucket as you go through the different phases of life. So I want an ATV. Here's my ATV bucket. All right. Here's my savings for retirement bucket. Here's my savings for my emergency fund bucket. Actually, I think the emergency fund comes well in advance of any other buckets, so you have to get that one saved first. But then I have my wealth building bucket, my retirement bucket, my ATV budget, or whatever the thing is. Maybe you want to go hunting this fall and buy a new rifle, or maybe you want to buy a bass boat, or you can tell I like the outdoors, right? Or maybe you want to buy dancing shoes. I don't know. They're probably really expensive. Or something really cool. You want to buy that thing. A piece of property, how about? That's a great example, right? Anything, stuff that you want to buy. Well, you put the stuff, you give the stuff a bucket and a name. And then after you have your other buckets set up and they're already working, every time you get money in and you have money left over because you have a spending plan now that shows where all your money's going. And at the end of that, there's actually money left over. So when you have money left over, it goes into all these buckets as a percentage. Well, when do you get to that stage? Well, you get to that stage after you do your emergency fund. After you do your emergency fund, then you can go in and start putting money by percentage into each of these buckets. And over time, the money grows. And the faster you put more money in the bucket, or the larger the percentage that you allocated to that bucket, the faster you get to be able to buy the thing. And if by the time you get the money to buy the thing, you already don't want the thing anymore, that's a win. That means you get to spend that money doing something else that you want even more. You just take the money out of the bucket and put it in the thing that you actually want more, faster, and you just go and buy that thing. But the buckets is something that happens after you've created that fundamental level of wealth where you're already on your spending plan, you paid off all your debt, and you have an emergency fund. Then you start putting the money in the buckets. The main thing I think that this part helps you do is that it forces you to have more discipline. You have more discipline. And then by the time you get to the thing you want to buy, you get more creative because it was really hard to save that amount of money. And it took you some patience and some sacrifice to be able to do that. And now you pretty much are forced to be more creative, get a better deal, or look for a way to optimize that purchase. And that happens more often than not when you're starting to save money in buckets for big specific purchase items. And you're not paying interest on that money. You can even put in the S&P 500 if it's going to take you for longer than 5 years. Then you have higher likelihood of being able to get a return on that investment. But if it's not going to be in the S&P 500, then just put it in a money market fund. They have really good rates right now. They're like 4.5% to 5% on your money market funds, and you'll just be able to get interest on your money that's sitting there waiting for helping you pile that up as you continue saving for that thing you want. So many people out there today get wrapped up in this idea that if there's no interest, it means there's just no interest. It's just common business sense is that the interest is worked into the item already. If it says no interest, if you're borrowing money at no interest and to buy a thing, it means that enough margin is worked into the product to where you are actually paying the interest just in the sum. Of course, they've got you locked into the sale over time. And because so many people default on their payments, it automatically converts into an interest payment as soon as you miss 1 or 2 payments, even accidentally. And then you're paying 20% interest on whatever that thing was you bought. I mean, these guys, they have a plan. So if you don't pay interest on your money, then you get to keep the interest, which is suspiciously like making 20% on your money if you're not paying 20% interest. So keep your interest in your bank. Money interest is only good. Remember this. If this is an overarching message, just remember this. Interest is only good if it's coming to you, not going away from you. If somebody's paying you interest on your money that's in an account that's real money, in an account that they're paying interest on, that's the only interest that's good. Any other interest? I know all the financial statistics and I understand using other people's money and the mortgage rates and all of those things. But look, at the end of the day, if you're getting money on your money versus paying money on your money, it's much better. Plain and simple. And you sleep better at night. All right. This is just from one guy on the internet who's built a level of wealth and multi-million-dollar company, debt-free, and owns a house debt-free, and owns everything everything we own is debt-free, multiple pieces of property, and everything we do is debt-free. It's not coming from somebody who hasn't done this. I actually do this each and every day. It's part of my life, and it creates a lot of peace, happiness, and great financial perspective for the future. All right, the last point: giving and understanding the power of generosity. This is one of the most rewarding areas of wealth building, and sometimes people ignore it. Giving isn't just about charity. It's about the condition of your spirit. It's condition of you as a person. When you give, you shift from having a spirit of just fear and scarcity to a spirit of abundance, to a condition of abundance and overflow. I love the Jewish tradition where every week they gather, like there's a container inside of a bowl. They say a prayer and they pour the wine into the bowl, and it overflows out of the glass into the dish underneath it, and it fills up. And the prayer is that, Lord, may you bless us that we would have enough for this week and an overabundance of blessing that we may be able to share with those around us and benefit those who are in our paths or connected to us in some way that we may be able to help. It's not all about ourselves. It's just representing the fact that the work that we do and the resources that we have, they're not all gathered to consume upon ourselves. They're gathered so that we can have an overabundance and overflow that we can give unto the world around us and make the world a better place. People who hoard their money and just have a fearful relationship with it, they never, ever feel truly wealthy, no matter how much they have. The money continues to grow, not at the rate it could grow, I would say, but they never feel secure, they never feel safe, and they never feel rich. In that case, what's the point? But people who give, whether it's giving of your money, being a mentor, building stronger ties with people in your community, giving of your talents and skills and or the product that you provide, they build stronger relationships. They invest in their communities. They make the world an ultimately better place. I love one phrase. It's said by Dave Ramsey. It says, if you live like no one else, later you can live and give like no one else. And I think that represents it really well. This whole thing isn't about a self-consuming desire to become self-appreciated. It's about ultimately being the biggest and brightest light and best influence for good during your lifetime that you could possibly be. And it doesn't have to be huge. You start small. Even a small percentage of the income that you have over a long period of time makes a huge difference. And it changes lives, including your own. That's why you need to start today, right now today, because if you haven't started now, odds are you won't start tomorrow. So start today by making your spending plan and making your very first goal of saving your first emergency fund. After you've paid off your debt, start setting the buckets in place to really get on track with saving, spending, and intentionally aligning the money habits that you have with the values that you have so that over your lifetime, you can create incredible wealth, living like no one else. So later you can live and give like no one else, ultimately fulfilling that powerful purpose of being able to be the brightest light possible during your entire lifetime. I hope you like and subscribe to this video. If it was a help for you and encouragement to you in some way, please share this with somebody in your community. Share it with a friend, share it with a family member. And again, like and subscribe, push the notification bell. That would help me as we continue to make more content just like this each and every week. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.